Hey everyone, so it is Pat and it is Jess, and today we're doing something fun. We've had these jam sort of play along sessions before. I think last time we were just playing over some chords and we're getting you guys to play over some chords. So today, Jess is going to be playing some chords on the piano, I'm going to be playing some guitar, and it's mainly about practicing your solo skills and picking out some arpeggio notes or notes within those chords and practicing the C major scale. And what chords are we playing over today, Jess?
We're playing over a really common chord progression. It's known as a 1-5-6-4 or C major, G major, A minor, and F major.
Very nice. So that's the main progression that we're going to be going through today. If you're not sure how to play any of those chords, there's a link down in below. It'd be awesome if you guys can try and solo using the C major scale. That'll be down below as well. And the other thing is really the chords that we're looking at, like Jess said, was C and G and A minor and F. So here's the notes within those chords. So although you may be playing lots of different strings, with G you're playing 6 strings, right? But it's those same 3 notes just repeated and repeated. So check out these notes, and quickly right now before we start soloing, I'm just going to show you where those notes are so that you can instantly dive in. And how we're going to do it is we're going to start off really simply. There's so many thousands of different ways to solo and there's so many frets and strings on the guitar. Let's just break it down. We're just going to look at 2 things today. So if you've already learnt the C major scale, you've got one of those things done. The second thing that we're going to look at today is choosing those notes within those chords. So if Jess, if you could just hold like a C major chord. Okay, so if I play a nice C note, one more time. And again.
Do you want me to keep doing it?
Yeah. So if I hold that nice C note, it works really well. If I was to play something like a D, which although it might be in the scale, it's not in the chord that Jess is playing. So it still works, but it jumps out quite a bit, and it's a different color and it's a different tone. So before we get into creating lots of tension with chords and soloing,
It's bluesy.
very bluesy. So before we get into all that different tension and different color aspects, let's just focus on, thanks Jess, let's just focus on the exact notes that we're playing and hearing in those chords. So there's all the notes again, and let's quickly dive into it. So what you want with C is you've got the notes C, E, and G. So you've got the 5th fret there on the 3rd string, that's your C note. Drop down, then you've got the 5th fret on the 2nd string, that's your E. Then use your pinky all the way up on the 8th fret there of the 2nd string as well, that's your G. So that's the first, they're the notes within the C major chord or the C major arpeggio. C, E, G. And if you could hear Jess playing piano, all the notes are exactly the same. So if Jess was going to be soloing over my chord, she'd be doing like the same sort of arpeggio thing. Next chord we've got G. So how we're going to play G is we're going to jump up and we're going to use our 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string, that's our G. Then we want to use our 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string for a B. Then you want your 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, that's your D. So you've got your, again, 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string. Then 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string for your B, and D note is the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. Okay, great. Halfway there, doing really well. Next, you've got your A minor arpeggio. So for A minor, you could play it, again, you can play these notes anywhere. I'm just showing you one example that's going to cut through and sound really nice. So with A minor, let's come up and let's play 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string. So then you've got your A note. Then drop down with your 1st finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd string for your C. And then easy, just drop down a string on the 5th fret of the 2nd string for your E. And that's it. So A, C, E. Beautiful. Last one, guys. You're almost there. Because we're already there, let's use our 2nd finger on the 6th fret of the 2nd string for your F. Then drop down and use your first finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string for your A. And then use your pinky all the way up there on the 8th fret of the 1st string for your C. So you've got F, A, C. So now that you guys know all the notes in the arpeggios, let's take it back a little step, and all you want to do is just get the root note or the note that's in the name of the chord. So for a C major chord, the first chord you want to play a C note. For the G chord you want to play a G note. For the A minor you want to play an A note. And for the F chord you want to play an F note. So let's hear what that sounds.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So even that sounded really musical, just 4 notes, and it carried along with the progression really, really nicely. Once you've got those 4 notes, try and play the rest of the arpeggios, and try and just see, because the whole point here is that we're being musical. Everything about this video is being musical. It's not that you're trying some shred-tastic gymnastics, but you don't actually realize what notes you're playing or how it interacts with the chords. I'm trying to think about what notes you're actually playing over the chord progression. So now what Jess and I are going to do is we're going to just play the chord progression for you, give it a go, try and just target the names of the notes, maybe pause the video and work out where they are or go back to the tabs. We'll play through the chord progression like 4 times.
Sure.
Just a simple chord progression, guys. Play along with your guitars if you know the chords too. All you need to do is try and get the root names. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Alright everyone, so hopefully you had fun just playing those root notes over that chord progression. Now this time, try and play this 2-octave C major scale pattern and try and go through the entire scale, and that's just linked down below. So if you're not sure how to play it, pause the video, watch it, and then come back. But just have a go and try and sort of learn that, the scale and what notes you're actually playing and getting that all under your fingertips. But try and remember what notes you're actually playing. So we're going to go through that again, and then at the end we'll sort of see how we go sort of combining the two. So let's just play through the progression one more time.
Yeah, sure. And if you're not sure of what notes you're playing, it always helps to say them out loud as you're playing them.
Definitely.
To help you remember.
That's a great tip. So what I used to do when I was sort of first learning all the notes and where they are and everything is I would have on a piece of paper, if I was listening to a backing track, I'd have like a chord, and then underneath it I'd have all of the notes and then where they were on the guitar in like the one area or the frets. And then like the second chord, there'd be the names of the notes again and then what frets there were, like depending on what position. So that way it was like a road map. So if I ever got lost and I was like, oh no, where am I? What am I doing? Then I could just look and go back to those sort of areas. And once you've sort of started to get those notes down and like the different arpeggios or the different chord tones, right? Once you've started getting that, try adding in some other chord tones, and that's the last thing that we'll look at. But let's go through the progression and try using that C major scale and see if you can play along. Here we go.
4 times?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
if you're wondering why we keep finishing on a C, it just sounds like it resolves the progression. If it finished on F,
you'd be waiting.
It's like someone pauses in the middle of a sentence. It's weird. You want them to finish what they're talking about. So that's great. Hopefully you were soloing over the scale. Hopefully the little tab, at the start of the video helped. The last thing we're going to look at, and Jess, if you could play the progression one more time, and I'm going to be using the chord tones or the arpeggios or the notes within the chords, whatever you want to think. But this time I'm going to be adding in some extra notes that were in the C major scale. But I'm going to try, every time you hear a C chord or a G, I'm going to try and land on that first note. So I'm going to start with the C, and then when it comes up to the G chord, so you can just see that if you just start learning the notes and start learning the scale, if you put them all together, suddenly it can sound really musical. So let's have a listen to that.
One other thing is landing on those chord tones is a really nice way to resolve your solo. So if you get a bit lost, if you just try and land on them, it kind of ties it all together.
And it makes it a lot more musical, and suddenly if the listener is listening to a chord progression, if they hear where the melody is going as well, it sort of puts everything together and sort of glues it all nicely. But let's have a bit of a listen, and then we'll go through one more time and you guys can solo again.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Again, it wasn't supposed to be anything particularly flashy. It wasn't supposed to be anything ridiculous that you guys haven't seen before. It was just showing that just nice, simple ideas and sort of fitting in with the tempo and fitting in with the chord notes and the notes that are going on that Jess is playing work really nicely and flow the whole thing together. And that's what it's all about. So if I was practicing soloing, what I would do is I would find the notes within the chords. That's the first thing I would do. I would listen to the chord progression. I would just play the first note. Just get that root note, and then maybe try and play the third of every chord, and then try and maybe play the root, the third, and the fifth, and then try and add in some extra notes. Like a fourth or something like that. But just try and add in different notes so that rather than just going up and down the same scale and not realizing what you're playing and just trying to play faster and faster and faster and faster, trying to come from it from a different angle and be a little bit musical, I think. Is there any tips you could give to the viewers?
Well, one thing I learned when I was soloing, or learning how to solo, is pick the chord tones and try and just do one note per chord, then 2 notes per chord. So because you've got 4 beats, you might just try and land on the C, and then try and do the C and E. 1, 2, 3, 4, then C, E, G. Some other note. Try and add in more and more notes each time you practice it. That's a good way to get better. And
that's the best advice. Although you pick up the guitar, there's so many strings, there's so many notes, it can easily get confusing and just be, just be too many options, have option paralysis, So just try and start with one note and build up from there. Let's play through one more time, guys. And good luck soloing. Hope you guys have fun. Let's go through one more time. I've been Pat.
And Jess.
And we'll see you all again. Bye.